Hello, my friends. How are you? If you are new here, I highly recommend you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell down to not miss a single one of our new lesson. And give to us some support by hitting like button. There is no doubt. Our lessons will help you to improve your English fluency. And good luck learning English. Lesson 13. Should, and would. Mr. Priestley, let us now gather together all the uses of should, and would. 1. They are used as the past tense of shall, and will, to show future in the past, page 19. 2. They are used to show subjunctive conditional implying a negative. Those are the two uses that we have studied. But there are others. 3. Should, is used to show a duty or an obligation. Here it has the meaning of ought, e.g. You should do better work than this, equals you ought to do better work than this. If he left here at 4 o'clock he should, equals ought to, be home by now. The students should, equals ought to, know by now that the teacher won't accept bad work. You shouldn't, equals oughtn't to, eat peas with a knife. Hob, one day I heard Aunt Aggie talking to a workman. She said, when I use a hammer I always hit my thumb with it. What should I do to prevent that? He said, the only thing that I can think of, madam, is that you should hold the hammer with both hands. Pedro, I knew a poet, not a very good poet, who said to a friend, do you think I should put more fire into my poems? His friend said, no, I really think you should put more of your poems in the fire. Hob, oh, I must tell you about my young cousin, Ted. One day he came downstairs crying loudly. What's the matter now? I said. Father was hanging a picture and hit his thumb with the hammer, said Ted. Well, I said, that's not serious. A big boy like you shouldn't cry about a little thing like that. Why don't you laugh? I did, said Ted. Mr. Priestley, we also express the idea of past obligation or duty by means of should and the perfect infinitive, like this. You should have done better work than this. Equals you ought to have done better work than this. You should have known by now that the teacher won't accept bad work. You shouldn't have eaten your peas with a knife. If you want to express 1. Past tense of shall, and will. 2. Subjunctive conditional. 3. Duty or obligation. 4. A wish. 5. A polite request. Use us. Should. And would. Or, to take Hobbes' story. What should I have done to prevent that? You should have held the hammer with both hands. 4. Should, and would, are used to express a wish, e.g. We should like to know what he is going to do next, equals, we wish we knew what. I should like you to play some Chopin for me, equals, I wish you would. Hob would like to know when this lesson is going to end. He wishes he knew when. 5. Would, is sometimes used in making requests, especially in the phrase would you mind, because we feel it is rather more polite than a direct imperative or, will, e.g. Would you shut the door, please? Imperative shut the door, please. With will you shut the door, please? Would you mind opening the window, please? Would you mind passing me the salt? Hob, you know that reminds me of a story of the old gentleman and the impolite little boy. It goes like this. Old gentleman, would you mind telling me the way to the London Home for Lost Dogs? Little boy, it's a long way, are you in a hurry? Old gentleman, yes, I am. Little boy, then, if I were you, I should bite a policeman. Mr. Priestley, there is just one other use of should, and would, that I want to mention. 6. They are sometimes used in an adverbial clause of purpose, e.g. I got up early, so that I should not be late for the train. Hob had a good breakfast, so that he wouldn't feel hungry before 11 o'clock. And that's enough of should, and would. Exercises. Exercise 1. Rewrite the following sentences using should, instead of ought to. 1. He ought to work much harder. 2. Aunt Aggie ought to hold the hammer with both hands. 3. You oughtn't to cry about a little thing like that. 4. The children ought to be asleep by now. 5. That bicycle ought to be big enough for you. 6. Hob ought to have passed that exam. 7. My doctor says that I oughtn't to lift heavy things. 8. You oughtn't to have smoked a cigarette in class. 9. What ought Ted to have done, when his father hit his thumb? 10. He ought to have kept quiet. 11. You ought to see a Shakespeare play if you go to Stratford. 12. Mr. Wiggins really ought to buy a new car. 13. The boy ought to be punished. 14. All these papers ought not to be left on the ground. 15. I really ought to get on with my work. Exercise 2. Put would, or should, in the blank spaces. 1. I like to hear that song again. 2. Do you think I take a holiday? 3. No, it'd be better if you got on with your work. 4. You mind carving the meat? 5. The boys play more quietly. 6. The fire have burned better if I had had more wood. 7. If I were you, I go for a bathe now. 8. I like to know when we will have breakfast. 9. My landlady not try to make coffee. 10. He worked hard so that he passed the exam. Exercise 3. Rewrite these sentences in a polite way, beginning with, would you mind, and ending with, please, e.g., come here. Would you mind coming here, please? 1. Open the window. 2. Stop the car. 3. Get on with your work. 4. Tell Timothy to come here at once. 5. Talk less loudly. 6. Go away. 7. Hold this hammer. 8. Help me with the chairs. 9. Repeat that sentence. 10. Pay at the booking office. Composition exercises. Write or tell the story of A. Auntie Aggie and the workman. B. Ted and the hammer. C. The old gentleman and the impolite little boy. Dear friends, thank you for watching our channel and learning English with us. Subscribe. And we wish you great luck in achieving your goals.